Welcome to episode 7 of the Infinite Potential Experience podcast.
Let's go.
We're pumped to have you guys on today. After 7 weeks of coming out with these, we wanted to talk a little bit more about like how we got into the positions or the position that we're currently in now and what we do for a living and what makes us unique in terms of like how we coach and all that stuff. We haven't really talked about kind of our styles and how we do it and like how we ended up working with the people that we got to work with and what we offer as well. So like definitely want to take time kind of like interviewing each other about our philosophies on training and nutrition and everything else that kind of comes along with it, and then like who we work with, what the purpose of our programs are, and what we've been able to accomplish with our athletes and clients, because I train athletes, but then I also just train people that want to lose weight too and like make great transformations, because I live on both sides of those spectrums and I like to be able to do it. So anything I kind of left out there, that's kind of the goal, right?
Yeah, really. That's you definitely nailed that one, drove that one home, one might say. No, definitely excited to kind of dive into our different, really the philosophies that have brought us together, and ultimately our purpose and why we're doing this for the different types of athletes and individuals that we get to work with. And we have some fun different backgrounds and a very, very creative collective mind that allows us to take just our expertises to whole new different levels.
And you got to see a huge part of that last week.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that podcast, Nick does something incredible called the guided healing technique that it's hard to conceptualize and it's hard to explain. So we just decided to show you guys what it is on a podcast instead. And he fixed 7 years of one of the best golfers that I know in terms of like injury related, like rotational issues over the phone from 1,013 miles away. This kid goes out and shoots 9 under, 7 under of those on the back 9, fixing a bunch of problems between just like guided healing and then also a straight up mindset session that he put up there. So we chopped that up and we put it all over the YouTube channel. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put the link in the video here. And it'll be in the description if you guys are some of our listeners. But you get a really good sense of that, or like what we both bring to the table, because I'm at this point, right, we're both really good at fitness, we're both really good at nutrition, but Nick's real passion is around like the mindset, the actual like overall health and healing side of coaching, and my passion is still in straight up programming, nutrition. And while I'm fairly smart at most of the healing stuff, right, it's a passion at some sorts, but I can't do it the way that Nick can. So I'll bring him in with a lot of my clients to do this, and that's how we end up working together anyway. You know what I mean?
We've been kind of consulting each other back and forth, if you will, for many years. And we would spend, honestly, catching up here and there, like hours on the phone, just talking through like different types of training programs that we come out with, different types of nutritional or supplement protocols or ideas that we had. And then we would, one of the things that we both have in common for everything is like we love putting ourselves through testing whatever we want to maybe share with our athletes or have other people do. We love to be our own guinea pigs, if you will. And it's really fun to kind of dive into our own areas of excitement and passion and then bring them together in a fun, collaborative way that we couldn't really do just by ourselves. And honestly, it's not as much fun. As much fun as I have in here, if you will, it's so much more fun being able to kind of articulate that and share that with someone who can bring a whole different perspective or help you see things that maybe you didn't necessarily think of when you're you're programming something.
That's where we're lucky, because we'll literally call each other out and check each other on it to make sure that you really believe that and feel that way. Because like you can, if you're by yourself, you can run with an idea that you think might not be that great, but you know will work. And it happens with our fitness programs, our nutrition programs, but also in our business together now, where it's like one person will say something, and me and Nick, or Nick and I, are both the type of person that'll be like, dude, I don't think that's the way that should happen. Sell me on it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Sell me on it. This is why I think that that's not the way. And you got to make me believe that you have the right way to do it, or at least explain to me, because I believe in you. So I don't have to necessarily believe in the idea, but you better sell it and tell me why you're rooted in those feelings. And it's a cool way to like have that. And it's hard to find a partnership with somebody that's like comfortable enough, but then sure enough in themselves to just be like, nope, I believe this, and this is why we should do that. And then we can kind of come to a middle ground there.
And one of the things I personally love about this is it helps me expand the different beliefs or the different things that I have been working on in a way that when I get the opportunity to kind of explain my reasoning why, and hearing the questions that he has helps me actually start thinking outside of just my own scope of thought, and then it allows me to even bridge even more connections and gain even more insight that I couldn't really do if I'm just thinking out loud to myself and not having someone there kind of providing that opportunity to challenge me to not only how rooted I am in that belief, but then allow me to see how I can then take that belief and even expand upon it in ways that I wasn't aware prior. And that's one of the things that we love being able to do all the time is getting to, honestly, it's almost like getting to know each other all the time, and it's very fun.
All right, so we know how we each got into coaching, and we've covered that in past podcasts, so I'm not gonna like bore everybody with that again. For the people that have already heard everything, go back and listen to them. They're all really good so far. We've actually surprised ourselves with how much we love doing this and how good they've actually turned out.
This has been a super fun journey for us.
Yeah, well, in terms of like making content, neither of us really love doing it that much. It's just kind of a necessary evil of the field that we're in, and how to like grow past certain things. But the podcast thing has actually been really fun. So it's just the point where we're just gonna keep doing it. So
we love it, and it honestly, like every time that we do a new one, it's like we get new ideas, we get a little bit more creative, we learn from what we had done the last time or the last few times, and get to expand off that in fun, creative ways.
Yeah, but so we've already covered that. I can't remember what episode it was. It's actually a little bit in each episode. So Nick got into coaching from past injuries, so go and listen to that. Developed some of his training philosophies around pool training in college. We covered that in episode 1 or 2. I actually got started with coaching online people through my college job at GNC. And then through bodybuilding in the career I started with that after college, there was just people reaching out, and I just grew an online training business, and then I ended up training people in person. And I've slowly like formed exactly what both my like sports and transformation, they all have something that's very like in common about the way that I try and train people, and we'll get into covering all of that today. So my question for Nick, because I don't really even know this yet, is like, how the fuck did we get into bands, dude?
This takes
I know how I got into bands. It's you. Because like over COVID, I was like, I need to find a way to train people and keep the training business going, but gyms are closed, so I'm gonna do that. And then like 2 weeks later, Nick calls me and he goes, dude, I just got like I got Beast Bands now. I was like, what are Beast Bands? And I was like, I'm your guy. I'll fucking sell all of the Beast Bands. So like I started band programs, and then I was like, everybody that's doing my band programs needs to reach out to Nick to buy whatever bands that you're selling.
It actually started
4 years ago.
Yeah, well, so that journey for me was probably closer to 6 years ago when I started playing around with bands. I honestly,
Like, how did it become such like an ingrained part of how you coach people? Because it's so cool, and like, to be honest, it's a huge anchor in my success with training golfers. How to hit the ball farther.
The idea kind of came to me. Actually, it was from like all the pool stuff. Like, oh wow, like it was unintentional that I found the pool from an injury, and I just remember probably years after graduating, and I just noticed like I was still lifting heavy, and I would try different types of like I'll do like bodybuilding stuff, and I would do like more performance oriented stuff, and I just noticed the performance would go up, but so would get to a point where my body just start feeling bad. Yeah. And I was like, I'm kind of done dealing with these injuries, and it was kind of kind of like another happy accident. And I started using bands, just kind of add them to some specific lifts, so I could lighten the load and just play around with different things. And I started to notice how much better my body started to feel, especially long-term wise. And one of the best ones like that I really noticed this was, it was bench press for me. And at good old Gold's Gym, I would take, at the time it was just like whatever red band that I had gotten off of Amazon, and first I was only really just doing 135. So then I would take the band and put it underneath the bench and put it on there, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna focus on how explosively I can hit this, and keeping the weight relatively lighter, and doing more like high intensity volume. So I would do anywhere between like 4 to 8 reps as fast as I can, and then rest for like 30 seconds, and then I would first start out like, how can I do that for four sets? And then once that felt good, then I would go up to 5 and then 6, and then I would slowly start adding weight. And I just noticed my body felt so much more explosive, so much more dense, a lot stronger. And I started to notice I didn't have some of the issues that I had when I would focus on lifting heavy. So then I was like, all right, well, let me take this and play around with it. And so then this was really like the fun piece where I started to do this with like the plyometric training, and I started to do like squat jumps off a box, and I would take the band. I'd be inside the rack, and I'd take the band and like tie it around the bottom part of the rack, and I would put it on, and it's sitting there, and I would jump up, and then I would do like a couple reps, and then I would take the band off, and then jump up again, watching myself in the mirror to see like how high, and I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely feeling so much more explosive. So then I started to just kind of play around with the programming around that to see how much more explosive I could like feel, move. And then that's when I got more red bands to try, and then I got some black bands. And that's kind of what I actually used as like my warm-ups for the squats or the deadlifts or the rack pulls.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was just having so much fun with it. And one day I took one of those like vert mats that like will measure the height and stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna record every single rep from these and just start. Okay, with one red band I did first set, and I would record every single one. I had my camera recording it. I would do my 4 reps with, take them off, and then do 2 reps without. And I wanted to see what the progression was, where was that sweet spot before I started to lose the explosiveness. And then I started to really notice that I wasn't losing much, and that I would do it with one red band, and each jump would be a little bit higher. Then I would take it off, and it would be like a significant like 3 to 4 inch difference. Yep. So then I'm like, all right, let's do 2 red bands now. So I did 1 red band, and I did the same thing with 2 red bands, and I was like, whoa, if I'm using 2 red bands, it shouldn't be as high. And I noticed like the first 1 to 2 took me a little bit more to get calibrated, getting that PAP response, and I started noticing now I take it off and it'd be significantly higher. I'm like, okay, let's try with a black band, do the same thing. Then I did black and red, and then I would do 2 black bands, and I noticed each time I actually was getting a little bit more. And I was like, all right, there's definitely something here. And that's kind of what really led me down to want to play around with bands a lot more than just what you typically would think for whether it's rehab or obviously like the agility and stuff that's always been out there, which is awesome and amazing. And I was like, all right, I want to find ways to start adding this to like every lift possible, so I can reduce the load and just use bands with like half or even less than that with the weights. And that's when I was like, I gotta make these. I want to make these to give to all my athletes, because I was noticing a significant difference in how my body felt, how it moved, how it honestly like how it looked. That was also very unintentional, but it was a good happy accident. And I was like, all right, there's gotta be something here, and I want to play around with it a lot more. And
so much with training, and like I understand trainers that like don't look like they work out, and like they understand the science behind all of it, but like most of what I have accomplished in training and the things that I've found is from testing and failing, and then tweaking and testing and failing and tweaking and testing, and then finding something that works so good that turns you into like some sort of superhuman. You know what I mean? And the bands is one of them, is where I did a year of squat every day.
Yeah.
And because of the arthritis in both my knees, I still wanted to lift super heavy. When I was doing bodybuilding stuff, I was just wrecking my body and just repping out like 500 pounds on like squats, and like my back and my knees and everything hurt, but I was like, this is what I have to do to get to a certain point. But I never really grew the legs that I wanted to grow, because I couldn't train to the full range of motion. And even if I was really bouncing out of it and not really giving everything. But then I take red bands, and I would put one red band looped on each side. We find out that that's about 45 pounds of plates on each side. So like if you have a bar and two red bands, at the top it's 135 with like new fresh bands. And then I'd work up over the course of the week to doing like 300 pounds. Well, I'd have like 135 or 225 in plates, and I'd throw bands on. And I could load up to 400 or 500 pounds at the top when you're unracking. But unracking a band, because it's gravity pulling you straight down, it's not like weights anymore where you get it up and it's kind of easy to step back. You got to brace your core and have everything so tight to be able to do this, or else you're going to lose it. And the bars are going to rip down and take your legs out from under you, right? Like it's not a rep that you can fail. And like being that stable and being able to do that with bands over the course of the years, and my knees getting fresher and safer, and my legs getting bigger and all that stuff, that was just an idea that I was just like, all right, let's fucking try it. And then it was like, hey, if I could do volume all in one day, but I seem to walk away from it where my knees hurt for an entire week until the next week, what happens if I just do like a little bit of volume every day? And I space it over the course of 7 days. And then it's the same amount of volume on squats as I would normally do if I'm doing 20 rep sets, but now I'm doing 3 rep sets where I can control everything, do all this, and I get way stronger, way bigger, way everything, and nothing changes in terms of my progress except for my joints feel better and everything gets, like that's the sign of a good coach, is being able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that you went and tested it for what, how many years? A couple years? Year, 2 years?
It's about like, yeah, going on, so it's probably early 2018. And I got definitely very, very fortunate and grateful, because like I had put the order in for bands
before COVID.
Like, yeah, it was like November, December of 2019. And I was originally supposed to get them in February. And obviously with everything that unfolded, like I ended up not getting them until it was probably like mid-May.
Yeah.
When and I'm so glad I had gotten them then, because that really,
supply chain was completely wrecked after.
Yeah. And that honestly saved my business. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have had any means of making money. Well, you know, the bills were still coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, this was really before anything. And then that really worked out so well for me, for us, really.
Yeah, man. I wasn't a part of it back then, but
indirectly.
That says a lot about our relationship. As soon as I heard that he had bands, I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm making a program right now around bands. I love your bands. I love bands, period. I've been training with bands, but I've had to get them off of Amazon. You know what I mean? Now I got a buddy. So now I was just like fucking I made a good amount of money over COVID teaching people how to work out at home. And it was so much fun to make up the workouts for myself. I'm just sitting in my 1-bedroom apartment at the time. like making up exercises with resistance bands. And then every day I came out with a new workout that I did in my app, so everybody following along would get that tomorrow. And then it just went like that. I work out at 5 a.m. I put the workout in. Everybody else could do it for the rest of the day. But it was in a time where a lot of people were moving backwards. Your bands helped a lot of people move forwards and get in really good shape, and helped me stay sane.
Yeah.
You know, not being able to, dude, without weights, I don't know what I would have done at that point in my life, because I was like heavy competing, and my size was my entire identity. You know what I mean? Like lifting weights and training and diet and all that stuff was like a lot of my identity.
It's funny, like you mentioned that, because that when I had my back injury in college, they're like, well, you're gonna have to, like, you know, not play lacrosse, not exercise. I'm like, do you know who I am? I don't know life. How, like, if I'm not working out, I'm playing. If I'm not playing, I'm working out.
And we're gonna keep beating this with a dead horse, but there's a really good post I sent you today. Mike O'Hearn, did you see that post?
I haven't checked it yet,
dude. So they're doing behind the neck shoulder press, and the guy that he's training with has an injury, a big bodybuilder, so he's only doing 135 on each side. Might seem like a lot of weight to some people, but to these guys, they're like doing 300 pounds behind their neck. But he moves it down, he's putting it through a full range of motion. They're talking about, he's got an owie is what they called it. I liked it. But he goes, he's draining through full range of motion. He's going as light as he can so there's no pain. And then that's getting blood flow to the area, which is going to help it heal more later. And I love that. One of like the best things to do, like whenever I've tweaked biceps, hamstrings, anything else, I'll go to my favorite machine and I will go all the way down to the least amount of weight, and I'll do my prescribed reps on it. And then the next week, I'll move it up one little plate. The next week, I'll move it up one little plate until it doesn't hurt. And eventually, you're just back to where you were. But you're getting blood flow to that place, and you're still working it through the range of motion. You're not getting any weaker. You're not losing any muscle. And it's the exact opposite of what somebody would tell you to do. That's a professional.
Motion is lotion.
I would never tell somebody to do that. Specifically, by the way, this is what I do for myself to come back from injuries a lot of the time. And
that's also knowing your body too.
But yeah, but it's like almost knowing anybody to a point where it's just like more blood flow is going to help. And I can bench 400 pounds. So even if I have a slightly torn pec, if I'm doing just the bar for 10 reps, it's not going to hurt that muscle, and something is going to compensate for me to be able to do it. So then if I add 10 or 25 on each side to do it again.
Well, I mean, like,
and I'm talking about like machines. So like something that's like a fixed range of, I'm not doing it with a barbell, fixed range of motion, where it's like 25 pounds, I do 10 reps. It's still getting a stretch and a bit of a contraction. I'm not trying to squeeze through it. But then eventually, over the course of like 12 weeks, you know what I mean? The same amount of time that a doctor told you to rest, you work your way up to working weight again. And then the injury, number one, you've given it the rest that it needs.
Yeah.
But number two, it never just was completely taken off to a point where...
Well, it's like, it's essentially kind of like an active recovery.
That's what it is.
Here's one thing, like, I understand, like, it's so easy for a lot of professionals and people just to say, rest it. Here's one of the biggest downsides.
They're worried about being liable for something bad happening.
Yeah, here's one of the biggest downsides about, like, just resting is, you know, if you're definitely not, you know, like, well, one, if it's an injury, right, the muscle in the body is tensing and tightening up to protect that part of the body, that joint or whatever. So when you're not really moving it, now you're starting to lose that range of motion. And when you try to get back into that range of motion, or you try to stretch it, now you're stretching that pull, that strain, that tear, or whatever, from a place that which now is like it's rested in that really tight position. So you're trying to stretch it. Now it just wants to re-tear, and as opposed to being able to provide some motion to it, so that even though the body's trying to tense up to protect it, it's not just tensing, tightening up, and continuously tightening up and inhibiting your range of motion. Like what I would tell some athletes when if they'd have to ice anything, I was like, oh, like I always would say, you know, ice it in that stretch position, because that cold is gonna, you know, like it's gonna tense up the muscles. So, you know, putting it out, so like for instance, if it's like on your knees, like put it like this. Now everything's shortened, so when you go to bend the knees, it's gonna pull everything. So I was like, nah, what we can do is just keep that knee here, put the ice here. So now it's in that stretched in range position, so that when you remove that ice, now it can move more comfortably through that range of motion while you're still healing.
Also, kind of don't ice it.
No, okay, well, yes.
Rice is dead. The
rice
rest,
is only good when you're cooking food. You
yeah,
know?
the rest ice, compress, and elevate. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The dude that made that up in 2015, he recanted that hypothesis that he came out with, and doctors are still stuck on that.
Yeah.
But
doctors, PTs, ATs.
so all of those things stop inflammation, and inflammation is needed for anything to heal.
Yeah.
Inflammation is blood flow going to the hurt area, and that's how your body gets nutrients for something to heal. So by cutting off blood flow, which is compressing, ice will stop blood flow, elevation will stop blood flow.
Yeah.
Rest is the only one that's kind of okay, but like even that is like, take it with a grain of salt. All those things are stopping blood flow, which will actually slow down your recovery over time. And we're not like talking about like ice plunges and things like that. We're talking about like actual injuries, not like doing an ice plunge where all your blood goes to your internal organs and then it like rushes back out. That's very healthy for you.
Yeah.
In doses, not all the time.
That's more of like a good hormesis, hormetic stress, which is gonna elicit a lot of favorable benefits. But actually, it's perfect that we're talking about this. It was the second game. I think it was against Czech. Haley had taken a shot, like right up here,
Yeah.
and like it just like after the game, the ET was like, here's some ice, put it on there, and fortunately, we just like I knew what had happened, so she was gonna after the game she was gonna let me know how she was doing, because we always check in with each other so that I can help in any way I can, whether it's like with the mental stuff or the physical stuff, to help get her ready for the next day. And we were talking about that, and so she had the bag of ice. She's like, I don't really know what. I was like, I'm glad you didn't put it on yet.
Yeah.
So we actually did the same exact guided healing technique that we did with Isaiah. I said, let's just do this. Don't put the ice there, because it's just gonna tense all these muscles and tight up. Yeah.
Same day, healed 2 people. What a
Yeah, actually, yeah. Oh my God, that was.
When you were together, you were standing in the kitchen while you were doing that.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, that's right. That's too funny. Yeah, same. And then she woke up the next day feeling completely fine, completely as if it like never had happened. And actually, I had also shared that technique with my mom. She was also experiencing some stuff.
Nick ends up doing it to everybody, dude. He's like, my dad had golfer's elbow, and I like have Nick over to my house, and I go, Dad's like does it. Nick's in my basement like working. I was like, Nick, get up here.
Come in.
Yeah, I was like, just come fix my dad real quick. The amount of free sessions that I get from this relationship is fantastic. Okay, cool. So so that's the philosophy behind kind of the bands and how that got started. That's really interesting.
And one of the big reasons why I love the bands too is like I notice even with less weight is with the bands I feel like you can actually really force through more reps than you typically would if you're just doing like
if you can like get stuck on a rep with bands and you stay there and fight a little bit more.
It's just like you can get it.
It's so much like my last set of curls today, because I like broke into a new set of bands, because these bad boys have been with me since COVID. So like they're a little bit weaker.
They've seen some
4 years, 5 years. Is it 5 years now?
Going on, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So these are 5 years old. So like they're still going strong, but like I opened up a new set for travel, and those ones like curling a blue band is a little bit harder than my ego takes a hit every time that I break these out now. And I got to like rep 5 today, and I was like, I'm gonna get this, dude. And I got it, but it was like fighting through that. It felt like the old bodybuilding days where like I had a partner and then they would like force rep me.
Yeah.
Because like now you can kind of work through the resistance, and the resistance it's like both ripping you back to the ground, but also you can kind of like fight into it a little bit more and get it an inch by giving it like a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I'm 3 months in, and I saw a picture of myself curling from the side today, and your boy's still as big as ever. You know what I mean? Like I was scared of losing muscle, but at this point it's just like
I was like, how much can we put on now?
Yeah.
Well-
I always eat in a deficit these days, so like
Yeah.
gaining muscle is not my goal anymore, ever. It might be like once I get like super lean again, but like now it's just been like eating in a deficit for my life because now I can lose muscle and be okay. Because
Yeah.
I'm still gonna be big. I got some like, and then whenever I feel like I'm not big enough, I know I'll be able to put it back on pretty quick. So
Honestly, like this is perfect to kind of like break into that new program, that full body every day with body weight / bands. That is kind of talking exactly what he was saying about with the squats. Instead of just like crushing legs only one day, where now we're doing some volume, full body every day of the week. That really just the compound volume, the compound interest, the ROI, if you will, is gonna be significant.
yeah, dude, I can't wait to talk to you about that. But that really leads into like what my training philosophy is too. With people.
Lay it on us.
So like when I got started, everything was as hard as possible. I did like the Mike Rashid, CT Fletcher, overtraining, like as hard as you could possibly train. I did the bodybuilding eating where it was like 6 regimented to 8 regimented meals, eating all the time, protein, chicken and rice, all this stuff. After my first show, it evolved into if it fits your macros. And that was cool, and it was a little bit better. I had freedom, and I could eat like cereal and all this other stuff that I wanted to eat, candy, and still hit my goal and still make it to a show. And then it turned into me trying out all these other diets and like trying out all these other workouts. And eventually everything just kept boiling down to like, what's the smallest amount of work that I can do to get the maximum result? Or what's the easiest, like most mindless thing that I can do to get the maximum results? In all diet, exercise, cardio, all that kind of stuff where it's like, how can I combine all this stuff into just one thing? And that's really what it is. So like now it's just about making it easy for people.
Yeah.
And for myself.
Make it
Because-
fun, make it easy.
Yeah, where I had a passion for lifting really hard and heavy and being crazy, now it's more like I have a passion for fitness, but like, do I want to make it that hard on myself? And is there a lot of longevity in that?
Yeah.
Or is there a lot of sustainability in that?
I mean,
And
how
I'm
many-
not paid for working out, so
Yeah.
like, there's no reason for me to go in there and be training that hard, like putting screamo on in my ears and like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not Mr. Olympia.
I was gonna say, how many of those guys, like later on, have we seen that?
Ronnie Coleman's the saddest one.
I know that definitely. Yeah, I know.
But then there's some like freaks like Mike O'Hearn that's been training hard but he's trained smart now. But like he trains in like positions that you're not supposed to train in, which is like really fun to see. Like he
Yeah.
does like 400 pounds bench press in like places where you shouldn't do it, and like it's because that he trains like that. He trains behind the neck. He trains in all these like weird positions. Is why he's so healthy.
Yeah, your body will adapt to that kind of stuff.
Well,
Obviously,
adapts, but
he does it in a
he's
smart
strong.
way,
He's
too.
worked up to weights that are nuts in these
Yeah.
terrible positions. So his body's really strong in all positions, which is like what we've learned over the years.
I mean, it's almost like not obviously the same, but like gymnasts, the amount of the vulnerable positions that they're in,
Yeah,
the
they're just
insane
stronger.
amount of control and coordination and stability
Yeah.
that's definitely something I would have loved to have.
If I was a
that,
gymnast,
you
I
know.
would have been, if I have kids,
Right.
gymnastics, golf, gymnastics for the sheer like,
Gymnastics, jiu-jitsu.
for the sheer strength. Yeah, jiu-jitsu maybe. Golf for like the, like self-reliance / it's kind of like good person.
Yeah.
It's like very like it's a gentleman's sport. You know what I mean? Like it's it teaches you honesty if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And it's like very rooted in that, and I like that kind of stuff. And you're like, it's just self-reliant. You can't blame anybody else but yourself. The amount of work that you put in is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
And then
It also helps cultivate like the mindset.
yeah, in baseball because of hand-eye coordination. I think if you do like those 3 things, then you kind of are good at everything to a certain extent, hand-eye wise. Like baseball, and I know we have, that was my upbringing. So like,
Yeah.
other than gymnastics, like baseball, like I did baseball, basketball, golf, soccer I quit on very fast. But like those three
I was soccer,
made me good at all sports.
basketball, and then when I was a kid, lacrosse wasn't where I was in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like t-ball, and then whatever was after that, I don't even remember. And then like when my parents we moved up here to Maryland, I remember for one of my baseball teams or whatever, one of the kids was on my team. His dad also like coached the rec lacrosse team, and I was just so bored with like baseball. For me, it just was not my thing. I only did that because like my friends were doing that outside of like basketball and soccer. So
I don't think
like,
I would have liked baseball. I was a catcher, so I was part of every single play.
Okay, yeah, I could that could definitely be more fun.
It's like the pitcher's important, but catcher's like calling all the plays and telling the infield and everybody like what to do.
That's
it's kind of
pretty
like
cool.
quarterbacking.
But he's like, hey, would he want to play lacrosse? And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but I'm running around with stick. I'll do that.
It's physical, right? But like what I'm talking about is like hand-eye. So like more athletic lacrosse, 100%.
Hand-eye, dude.
It's attached to a stick. I've seen you try and hit a golf ball, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's me as lacrosse.
Yeah, you know, but like baseball players come out and they at least like hit the ball pretty straight up.
Yeah.
Not digging anything. I'm just talking about building like the perfect athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like hand-eye. It's like a football player that's never played anything where like touch is involved, and you tell them to try and play basketball. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no touch involved. It's just like backboard. It's a long cane Pauly. Like, yeah, Kobe. You know what I mean? Nothing but net. It's that dude. It's literally that.
That's weird golf.
Yeah, but that's like if they just played that one brute strength sport, and you know what I mean? Like you have to teach touch and strategy and strength all in one. So
and like the control of that.
Yeah,
too.
and I believe that lacrosse is a great sport, and like we train a bunch of athletes in it, right? You have to have the agility and all this other stuff. But if you just played that, the hand-eye's not there for hand-eye, because now you have this long ass thing attached to you, and like a deep ball is like really long thing attached to you. So even when you put a short stick in their hands, they probably feel a little bit weird when you throw a ball to them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you have to be hitting all these different ways. And I just know this because no matter what sport I play, I am average and good at it. Not great, but good at everything, right? And then golf's my great. But I think it's because of the baseball, golf, basketball kind of combo, because I had to do all of the things.
When
I played every sport in the backyard growing up too. Like I couldn't. I was outside constantly. I was never inside. Video games was something that came way later, like high school life.
Dude, oh man, some of the best times where like everybody in the neighborhood would like get together to play, whether it was we would do like street hockey or like kickball or lacrosse, volleyball, soccer, tennis, or soccer, golf, or regular tennis. You know, like we would. It was so much fun just to kind of like get out and do whatever.
Yeah, it's like whatever sport we could play. Like I played tennis. We played tackle football when we were in middle school with like the high schoolers in the neighborhood, just getting absolutely creamed, teaching you what is it called? Humility.
Yeah, you know.
But I'd always catch it. You know what I mean? It's like I'd catch it and I put my body on the line. I'd get absolutely crushed every single time. John DeSando, still remember the kid. He was the most like athletic kid, and he would absolutely wreck us. Me and my cousin Kyle, we'd always make the catch, and we'd do the little squirrely moves. We'd like break like one, and then just get absolutely wrecked by the neck. It was full tackle, no gear.
Nobody ever. You know what's interesting? Like I don't remember too many people getting injured for that kind of horseplay, if you will. Like
we were riding. You saw that tree house out there.
Yeah.
We were sledding down the hill, building this up, big ass tree house. We would ride the sleds off the top of it, like into trees and stuff. You didn't get hurt as a kid. You should be doing all of that stuff when you're a kid.
Yeah.
As long as your head doesn't get hit, you're good.
Yeah. Oh my god, we used to play this game with one of the big trampolines where like it would be like 3-on-3. It was kind of like wrestling a trampoline.
Yeah.
And like if your like foot touched that like the blue cover that goes around, or if like your knee you fell and like one of the knees touches your elbow, like you were out. And it was like the last man standing or something.
Yeah.
And there were trying to steal people's balances and
it's
people
like
would
that.
fly off.
Yeah, so much fun.
You would like, someone would try to hit you and like you give them a little extra and they would fly out. Like,
did it have the net around it?
yeah, no net. I don't even like.
We had a net around our trampoline.
Never.
Or my cousin did.
But he did a front flip once and actually blew out his knee. I never got hurt.
Honestly, I don't know how we never did.
I never get hurt. Never did.
Same, but
I get hurt long-term injuries, like over time wear and tear. But it's never like I've never broken a bone. I've never like I've torn things, but never to a point where I need surgery. I've never like torn ligaments that I know about. I'm sure there's some like stuff, but like I'm not to a point where I can't fix it myself. All right, cool. Yeah, no, philosophy.
Good rant.
My philosophy is always been to make it as easy as possible, and that's like where metabolic fast track came from. And I literally did 8 years of research on different diets trying to build that because I was like, I just want the easiest thing possible, and I took that into a bodybuilding show without counting any calories. And while like eating Five Guys and drinking and doing all
that
this
would be
stuff.
like every bodybuilder's dream.
Yeah. And through intermittent fasting, and I actually did an extended fast at the end of it to burn off the last little bit of fat because I find that when I start eating, I get more hungry than when I don't eat, especially in those depleted states. So like with my mind, I would be far more likely to binge eat than if I just didn't eat at all. And I can tackle not eating for 3 days and see that as like a health goal rather than something else. Not saying it's healthy at that low of body fat, but I'm saying that it got me to my goal of having my glycogen depleted and me burning off the last little bit of fat and like being the leanest I've ever been. And then, so that's like with the diet, right? And then that fire never stops me because I'm trying the new diet now. And we'll do a recap of how this challenge is going at the end of this podcast. But like, then it's the same thing with workouts. And it becomes like, what can I do on a daily basis to eliminate the things that I hate? One thing that I really hate is cardio, to get lean. One thing that I need to accomplish is make my knees better. And back when I started this, my lower back better. So I started doing lunges for time on a daily basis because I saw that from like some powerlifters that were doing it. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, I'll do that. And I found that with my legs are always recovering, I'm burning a lot more calories throughout the day. So what used to be 30 minutes of cardio a day turned into 5 or 10 of just lunges. And now my legs are so strong, my glutes are so strong, my back never hurts anymore. My knees are starting to get better. All right, dude, we just do that every day. What happens if we just do 5 minutes of this work for 365 days? And like what gets there, test it out, makes my life incredibly better. Do that at the end of every single workout. It's 5 minutes of investment. And after you do it for a month, it actually doesn't even hurt anymore because your body gets so used to it. You know what I mean? Like I do 10 minutes a day now, and it's just what I do in the morning. It's like and then it translated into the golf stuff as like the science behind it. I didn't even know when I created it, but now I do, and I'm so happy it came across it because now I hit the ball farther than everybody else, and I was wondering why I could just do no work and be faster than everybody. And then I figured out once I started implementing these things, some of the daily things that I do. I'll give away lunges for free, but I won't give away all of it.
What I was gonna say, right, with the lunges, how many of the golf athletes that you're working with now have started implementing that, right? And I think like,
dude,
you know,
Matt had a tournament over the weekend.
Yo.
So the cool thing is like with the lunges, we wreck our legs so much that now we don't get sore from it. And if I taper it off, he said he felt better on Sunday than he did on Thursday going into it. And that was just an idea that I had. Yeah. And now like the PGA guys are going to be on it. The
Leslie even mentioned something, right? Like
Leslie just never gets sore anymore.
Yeah, and she said she even liked it so much, right? Then she was
doing it on vacation on the beach. Yeah. I mean, like, and you know what I said? My psycho-ness is like, how cool is it doing lunges on the beach? Because I do that on vacation. It's like I go and I do my lunges down by the water in the sand, barefoot. It's fantastic. But
fantastic.
Yeah, no bands with the lunges. It's hard to walk and do bands.
True. One of my favorite.
I also don't. Weights still hurt my knees when I lunge. If I load it anywhere.
One of my favorite ways for using bands with the lunges is actually like having it attached to like a rack or an anchor and have it around you so it's pulling you. And one of the things we would do with our athletes is practice like absorbing that load, hold steady, and then exploding up.
Yep.
And we would use that for implementing like chaos to help with variable, both predictable and then unpredictable types of just contact.
Yep.
Especially for like both lacrosse and hockey and honestly soccer too, right? Where you're getting a lot of you're getting hit in a lot of directions while you're moving laterally, or you're trying to move linearly, that you now have to absorb that with a slight lateral motion and then redirect. So it's one of my favorite things in teaching how to absorb properly, use that to then redirect and explode.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know about other than stationary and then doing them, but yeah.
No, stationary is like, that's what I'll do like in this living room when I don't have the option. Now that it's nice out,
yeah,
we're gonna go shoot a band workout on. There's like a turf field in the middle of Baltimore. That's private property, but every time the gate gets locked, somebody cuts the lock, so like it's always open.
It's private for anybody who lives in Baltimore.
Yeah, so we're gonna go there and do that. And I love doing lunges around the field for time. 400 meters of lunges or whatever it would be, like around a track.
So I used to do the 440. And
yeah. So like that on a daily basis, or finding out like those small things that you can do to not only like get better results than everybody else, but also work less. So like the daily things, or what I call the bombs away principles that you can find in the street performance app, or if you work one-on-one with me for golf, is like we got daily things that we do that make us more explosive and better, and we're not doing anything crazy special or ridiculous or unsafe or anything that we find that could like shorten your career in golf over time. And that's just,
your body becomes more resilient too. That's another big thing.
Exactly. Well, yeah, no, lunges like make you, I tell everybody this, and it's like we recovered like Wolverine. I'm never sore. I was telling Nick today, like I went and I did my 10 minutes. The first time I've been able to do walking lunges around the field, because it was like 60 degrees this morning. And I did that.
And actually not raining for once.
Yeah, and then me and one of my clients went for a walk in the park, and then I trained him like at the top, like an overlook at the very big top of this hill, and he was like, what's the deal with these lunges? He wasn't like an athlete, he was just like a normal client that I took through transformation. And every once in a while he'd hit me up and be like, let's go work out with bands in the park. So we did that. He was like, what's the deal with the lunges? Like, I've never done those. Like, maybe I'll start. And I was like, yeah, start with 2 minutes this week or something like that. I was like, actually, you want to see what it's all about? And I took him to the bottom of this giant hill. And I was like, race me up to the top lunges. And we lunged all the way up the top of this hill. It took like 3 or 4 minutes. And I feel like I haven't done anything right now. Same day. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm not sore. My legs haven't been sore other than doing adductor, good girl, bad girls.
I love that.
That'll get sore still if I don't train through that. Now I train through that, so I won't get sore anymore. But my legs haven't been sore in years, to a point where it's like the leg day joke where you can't like walk up the stairs or sit down on the toilet. Like that does not apply to me or any of my clients.
Or was it like that? Was it the Wolf of Wall Street where he's trying to get out of the car?
Yeah. The lewds.
The leg day lewds.
Yeah, it's like now we're just it's almost like being an evolved version of a human when it comes to leg recovery. And leg recovery is what carries you around all the time. That's what makes you stable.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's telling me, how stable they feel. All this other stuff. It's just because we have such a connection to the ground, because we do that many lunges over the course of our lives and over the course of a program, where generating power from the ground is effortless. Because we do it so much. I don't know how many reps that is, but it's hundreds of reps a day.
Yeah.
Hundreds of reps of generating power through like connecting from your ankles, your toes, all the way up through your knees to your glutes, to your hamstrings, to your hips. And that's where all power is driven from the ground. And being that good at that stuff is good. It's great. And then over the years, injuries have made it so I finally kicked myself in the ass enough, being like, hey, I know how to train myself back from injury. Why do I stop doing the things that bring me back from an injury as soon as I feel good again and then I get hurt again? So now, like, we do these bulletproofing things on a daily basis, depending on the workout. And then we'll go through a good, hard workout that'll make us strong. And then we'll actually do mobility. And in order to make it sustainable for people to be able to do it, all of that stuff should only take an hour. Yeah. Because unless you're a professional athlete that gets paid millions of dollars to do it, then you're going to be spending 2 to 3 hours a day in the gym getting better at your craft. But if you're a good coach and good at programming, you can fit all that stuff into an hour and challenge people to get it done in an hour, and then hold them accountable, because now they're lazy if they didn't do it in an hour.
We're big on efficiency, and this is something that
compound movement safely.
Yeah.
Is all that you really need, and if you do it in the right rep ranges, it's okay. There doesn't have to be a lot of flash and flare, and that's the sign of somebody fucking struggling for spotlight, and it's not a good coach.
And honestly, like, there doesn't even need to be that much volume where people, like, it's all, like, this is one of the biggest things with athletes that around mindset is, like, you know, they always have to be doing something to get better. And you know, with and we'll talk about this when we have Haley on here soon, where, like, from first starting to work with her, one of the first things we started to do was less. And she was not sure how to go about doing that. I was like, listen, you know, it's not just...
It's so weird to them to do less work.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's like, listen, you know, first off, it's more about the efficiency of what we're doing, and it's your ability to recover as maximally as we can, so that each time we're doing something, you're getting the most out of it. Otherwise, if you're not training maximally and you're training sub-maximally, what are you doing? Training sub-maximally. What is your body getting used to? Training sub-maximally. What do you think is going to happen when you got to get out there on the ice? You think you're going to be going maximally? It's going to kind of start to decrease and go sub-maximally. So one of the things we started to do is, like, good old Charmin Ultra, hashtag shout out, less is more. So we started to implement a little bit less total volume and more efficiency around the volume that we were executing. And so, like, our first training block, we brought it down a little bit, and she saw significant improvement. And then next training block after that, Worlds, I was like, all right, now we're gonna take this and do a little bit less, enhance the efficiency. And it's always so interesting, because, like, it's always met with some resistance around that mindset that you have to be doing something. And every single time I was like, do you remember when we allowed for more rest? What happened? Oh, you felt better, you played significantly better, your performance was drastically improved. Oh, and significantly less injuries or
especially
soreness.
In season.
Yeah, it's huge. And then
because they're already putting their body through the ringer to a place where you put in more effort while you're competing than you put when you're training, just because of the adrenaline factor.
Yeah.
So you're gonna work a little bit harder. So you need to recover from that, just like you'd recover from a hard workout.
Yes.
Just because you're not doing the workouts on the outside of it doesn't mean that you're not getting better. So if you actually rest and recover and feed your body the right way, then you're getting in a better state from doing that. Even though it feels like it's not work, because that's your play.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing. You gotta, like,
dissociate. That's one of the biggest. That's a great point too. Is, like, all right, there's two there. We train very differently when it's off season versus in season, and I know. I mean, I was this way too. You always want to be getting better. You're always trying to do different things. You're trying to, you know, even if you're in season, right? Like, I know some athletes that will stay on the ice for another 30 minutes to an hour, just running drills and stuff, which I'm all for. And I always say, all right, listen, as long as we're recovering fully each day, knowing what's our primary focus in season? Playing maximally, right? So if we're playing maximally, that's our focus and goal. We need to make sure we're recovering as efficiently as possible. Sometimes that might be, maybe we don't do 30 to 50 reps on the ice after. Maybe we shorten that to 15 and 20, and maximizing those reps and not just trying to do sheer volume because you feel like you need to. And every single time, improvement is significantly more with that. And, like, I always, when I'm sure Haley will share about this, is like, what happens when we do less here? Always, what's the result? Better. And it's like, still sometimes it's like tough to get that mental switch kind of flipped to allow myself to rest and recover and not feel like I have to be doing something. But every time you met with that resistance, how has it played out for you in the past? Invariably, right, since we've been doing this, it's always worked out well. And that's one of the biggest things is for us is the efficiency behind what we have our athletes do.
Yeah, I mean, like, just good programming, there's nothing around it, and there's no, like, real secret to it. Part of being a good coach is, like, just being able to see it, and then trust your instinct around it. And you say you don't need a lot of volume. You don't need a lot of volume. I go on, like, so my workouts aren't hard, but, like, I'll throw more volume at these golfers than they've ever seen, and it's always more work than they've done before.
Yeah.
Because in the golf industry, training is something that's fairly new, and training for bodybuilding is something that you see kind of like peppered in.
Yeah.
Every like once in a while. But like, and even like I got a new guy, Nick, he's a lifter, and he actually like follows like the Kino Body type of workout programs. Greg O'Gallagher, he does the fasting stuff. He's like right down my alley. But he's like not used to volume because that guy is the minimalist king, the Kino Body, like less is more. But I got him in 5 days a week now, and we're just doing more because I want to be able to do all the bulletproofing stuff with these athletes.
Yeah.
With my transformation guys, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, that's fine. If we're trying to be a better athlete, I will make you do 5 days a week of work. And then I periodize stuff. So we go pretty high rep to begin with, and then we work our way down to like a low rep week, and then we'll go back to the high rep, making sure that they get stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And then we do the lunges, and we do the mobility and the other stuff. All an hour of work. Sounds like a lot of stuff, but it's all just an hour of work. And when they go into these shows, they just or into these tournaments, they're just never sore. And a lot of them be like, I feel better because I'm more tight, but I'm the right amount of mobile after this stuff. So like, I don't really want to stop training. So if they're doing weights, I'll move them to bands so it doesn't get a central nervous system hit, and we'll still go through a workout, but we'll just do the low rep week, and I'll tell them to use the high rep weights. So like lightweight going into it. So we're still moving blood flow around. We're still getting the mobility that we need. We're still hitting our lunges so you feel stable, but instead of 5 or 10 minutes, we're doing 2 minutes. So now your legs are fresh because we're only doing 2 minutes. And it's like cool having all these interchanging parts where now I can move stuff around and do it. And now we're like almost tapering into it like a bodybuilding show where we're taking some things back, like we're adding sodium, but like a little bit of water. And now we're taking some water back. And now we're going to do like a full body workout so we can push the glycogen out. It's that sort of thinking that I'm bringing to golf now, where it's like we're just taking these things out. And how can I make you feel better on Sunday when it's time to fucking win? Right? How can we make you feel fresh on Thursday, but now you're not tired, your lower back's not hurt, all this other stuff on Sunday, when everybody else is like hurting.
Yeah, like we're that. So it's like
so we're practicing harder than you have to play in golf.
And this is a big thing. So just because, so we'll say like
safely.
Yes, less is more. But
I'm not twisting your spine harder than you have to play in golf. I'm putting you through months of preparation. Now we have done enough work that the actual act of playing golf
is easy.
Is not hard at all. So now it's just you and the course, and your body is a vehicle to do what your mind wants.
So this is one of the, I love this so much. It's like we make your sessions more intense than when you're actually out there. And so for instance, like typical shift in hockey is around 45 seconds. So what we focus on is hitting 1 to a minute and a half, 1 minute to a minute and a half, 60 to 90 seconds. How hard can we sustain 90-second intervals? Because when you're out there for 45 seconds, your ability to go as maximally as you want is so much easier because you're used to having to try to sustain that for 90 seconds. You know, what, like one of the things that we'll do is we'll do different drills where the flow of that drill will be about 60 seconds, and then we'll finish with a sprint, and then coming back to finish and execute like fine like motor pattern skill oriented stuff like shooting. And then we'll end that with, you have to hit these 3 different shots, and if you miss it, you have to chase it, and you have to finish it. And it's one of the it's one of the toughest things for them. It's like, this is when you're exhausted, you're trying to hit an open net easy shot. It's mind blowing when you don't hit it, and you're like, you just like, now you have to like go all out to try to get this puck that's no one else is there to help get it for you.
Yeah.
And you have to get it collected, bring it back. And now when you go into a game and you miss that shot, you're not seeing it as a missed shot. You're just like, okay, now it's just an opportunity for me to get there. And now, like the defense, now you can get there and move it backside or even attack that side quicker than anybody else is reacting, because you've got one gear when you're out there.
Yep. So it's like it's almost gamifying work to make it harder, but to make it a game. And Nick does that very well with drills for sport. I do it very well with my people through streaks, and the fact that like it's just something that we do every day, and then I'll hold you accountable to make sure you do it enough that you don't want to start again at zero. So it just becomes like an accountability game with yourself at some point, because you got 30 days of something, you're not going to fail.
Yeah.
It's like I'm at like 96 days of band workouts in a row. Like,
Yeah.
I do it for myself. It's like a great way for me to do it. If I miss tomorrow, I got to go back to zero. If I get the 30, I can get 365. That's like that's the hurdle. That's where it's like, okay, now it's a habit, and you do that. And it's like creating easy, sustainable habits over time. With people.
Yeah.
And that's the fun of it for me. And then finding a way to do it in sport and like bringing a unique brain to it is fun, because we both have very unique ways that we go about it. And that's a fun thing with me, is about like breaking into like the professional golf world has been an absolute blast for me, because nobody thinks the way that I do in golf.
Yeah.
And I can generate some really cool results now that I'm getting to work with like the caliber of athlete that I've always wanted to work with in golf. Like the results are unbelievable, and now like we're seeing the vision that I had for that in my head being exactly true.
It's like it validates everything you know.
I knew it would work.
Yeah.
But it's like now I got to test it, and it was
Yeah.
like now we had a test tournament, and now it's like, okay, cool. Now we got like 2 guys going for U.S. Open qualifiers at the end of the month and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that these guys are going to go out and absolutely crush.
Oh, man.
Because they're going to be in a better state than they've ever been in terms of health, overall fitness, but then just energy levels and how sore they are and all that stuff. Like they're just going to be in a better place.
And mentally.
That Nick on the freaking team. It's like it's really fun to like put all that together, but it's crazy. Like, how pumped up did I get after the call when I signed the PGA professional? Right?
Yeah.
He was talking about his problems, and then I was like, okay, I had all these ideas for fixing it. And I was like, I'm already doing this with everybody, and it's going to be an afterthought of it. I called Nick right away because I was in San Diego at the time when I signed this guy, and I was like, dude, I'm a genius. I didn't even know it. It's like, like all this stuff was together to a point like where I can taper this like a bodybuilding show.
Yes.
And have people going into the weekend a little bit like fresher than they've felt in months because of how they train. But on Sunday, they're going to feel fresher than they felt like ever on the course, because I have them playing hurt pretty much. Not playing hurt, but playing tired, because they're going out and they're walking the course after doing 5 minutes of lunges after the workout and all this other stuff, and we taper all that back for a week, especially with like long drive guys.
Yeah.
Because they're pushing speeds that they've never seen before, but they're doing it tired.
Yep. Yes.
So if we taper back the activity beforehand and get that rush of adrenaline from the competition, they're going to be 10 miles an hour over what we're seeing right now, and that's like fucking Berkshire numbers. Like that's the top of the game is what we have. Matt, who I talked to this morning, like he's 219 ball speed. I guarantee you 220, 229, 225 is what's going to happen in competition. And that dude's the straightest hitter. He never misses the grid. He's just a freak athlete. It's going to be so much fun. All right, cool. So like in terms of all that stuff, so we've gotten to like how we actually put together trainings. So now it's time to talk about like the trainings that we offer. We're an hour into this thing, and I want to go over like what what people can do, because we train people one-on-one, but we only can handle 30 people a person online to be able to give the best service possible. And that's something I'm big on. I could take on 50 clients at a time, but then it would be a disservice to the people that I'm working with.
For us, it's always quality. Always quality.
But I'm first come, first serve. Because like I'll only do athletes because I love the transformation side and I love teaching people an easy, sustainable way to get healthier and more fit. So I'll work with both sides of it. But the cool thing that we do with the bands is we've gone out to the Beast Bus and we've shot a bunch of workout videos and all that kind of stuff. And we put together programs for everybody. So in terms of that, we'll start with the athlete stuff.
Yeah.
So
this is honestly something we've been super excited about doing. With everything over the last few months and everything that we get to do with all of our pro athletes and national team athletes and Olympic athletes is like we wanted to be able to like everything that we're offering them, and how can we provide that same experience for all these athletes that look up to them, that are working to that level. So we're like, all right, this is all the time and energy and effort and the detail that we invest in these athletes. How can we take this and create we're calling it the pro athlete experience. It's everything that they are doing. All of them are doing this. We created an entire program that is exactly what they get to experience in season, off season. Whether it's
this is around every sport but golf, pretty much.
Yeah. So this is
different.
Yeah. This is this will have like your in season, off season, whether no matter what age or experience level, we have all the different band exercises that we do, weight training exercises and options. All the band stuff, like all of our athletes have been using this for years, especially with the traveling, the amount of traveling that they do, and not necessarily having always like the quality access to gyms and stuff. Is like, all right, one of the reasons why I wanted to make the bands was so that our athletes, well, myself first, I wanted to have my own gym no matter where I was, but it was the same kind of concept. It's like, how can I give them everything that they would ever need without ever having to worry about finding the right gym or making sure whatever hotel gym or whatever was appropriate. And then you're like, all right, if this gym has this, okay, how do we create this these different movements with what you have there? So it's like, all right, boom,
bands.
Here's all the bands. Yeah.
Dude, and that's the thing with golf too, is like these guys are on the road
Yes.
most of the year.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's better to train with bands leading up to any type of event than it is to train with weights, because your central nervous system doesn't take a hit.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, because you're not fatigued in the brain
Yeah.
or anywhere else.
It enhances it. There's infinite reasons why we love the bands, but it also enhances all the stabilizers.
Dude, the core and the range of
Yes.
motion through explosivity for the bands, number one, is because it's less on the bottom where like joints are more
susceptible or
to
vulnerable,
injury.
Yeah.
But number two, if you think about a golf swing, and this is just for the viewers, right? All the explosion is right here. That's where all of the weight of a band is.
Yeah.
Most explosivity is right there. That's where all the weight of a band is. You know what I mean? So like where you need less resistance for sport overall and reduce risk of injury, it's perfect for anything. But then also
lightweight, compact.
now you don't have to be training in a trailer if you're on the PGA Tour with all of the other people and seeing this and like crushing weights, or you don't have to be unsure about what your hotel room has.
That you don't have to worry about going back to the gym and like, hey, if someone's using whatever, like there's only like one rack and you're like, I need this rack for X, Y, or Z exercise. I'm like, well, it's gonna throw off the flow of the workout. Well, now you don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, and you can keep what you're doing a secret from all the other people. Just chill in your hotel room. Go back, relax, and chill in your hotel room.
Yeah, you can do it anywhere. Like
you don't have to. There's not that extra step anymore.
Yeah.
And this is even for people at home, right?
Yeah.
It's like
all right, I'll give away one of the biggest secrets that I have our pro athletes do. It is using the bands in the pool as part of their active recovery or off day, as is like a lot of the times they have the option for a lift, and it's like, nope, get in the pool. I have a whole, we'll go through like a mobility flow with it, and then a few explosive stuff, and then we'll go through like a nice relaxing meditation after, and that enhances recovery, performance, the mobility, the circulation, the range of motion, all of it far more than you could ever do in the gym.
Yep. All right. So total athlete experience. And so you said this is exactly what we have our athletes doing. It also has like nutrition that I teach, and the metabolic fast rate diet that I talk about all the times, also teaching you guys how to calculate your own macros. So it's pretty much everything you get one-on-one coaching, but you have to do some of the steps yourself and you have to implement it. But we're still there teaching you. And the coolest thing is we have a community around it. So like you have access to us. It's just not one-on-one like if we were doing one-on-one coaching. So you're not able to just like text me.
Yeah.
You're able to put it in a community, and then the community can answer. And if that doesn't happen, we'll host like weekly Q&As. And then the most exciting part is we're going to get the pros involved.
Yeah, and then this is something awesome too, because we also wanted to find a way to, like, the more that we keep incorporating for them and like the different types of variations that we might do for different athletes, depending on whether it's the sport or the position, it's just going to be an ever-growing.
We're just going to keep adding to it. We'll have monthly or weekly calls depending on their schedules, where we'll have guests on.
Yep.
And all that kind of stuff. So everything's in there.
Mindset and all that stuff as well.
Yep.
And we're gonna have a whole bunch of PAP stuff, which that'll be it for a whole another time.
Yeah. No, that might be the next week's. We're gonna keep saying it's gonna be next week.
I know there's just so many awesome things.
We wanted to talk about this. So then there's that, but then also so you can find all these on lfgbeastbands.com. But yeah, so lfgbeastbands.com has all of these on it, and it's all the courses and the communities and all that kind of stuff that you can sign up for. The $99 programs are for the bands plus a program.
The pro athlete experience
is $88 per month, but it is very high level. And then there's like a kind of intro level for $30. It's called Unleash Your Beast. Very intro level.
Low key though, we do have a good number of our athletes that will just use that when they're traveling outside of just having to do anything new or some that they still get awesome results.
Yep. And then we have the Get in Shape Anywhere series.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I work out, and then I implement the Bombs Away principles on top of it for a good amount of it. There's 2-day a week, 3-day a week, full body, which is a 5-day a week, but you can do it as many days a week as you want to because it's full body, bodybuilding style, all through the bands. This is stuff that you can do anywhere with the Beast Bands and get the results, and they all include the nutrition, the mindset, the philosophies around it all, and access to us through like being able to submit questions and we can answer them for you. So all that's in there. The pro athlete experience is like the premium of premium, and you get access to like professionals and us on like a high level, and that's where the $88 is. All the rest are $30.
Yeah.
$30. So incredible value for what you get. And then lastly, all the golf stuff is in a whole other platform. It's on streetperformance.com. You can access that on your phone. It's an app that we use that I spent 2 years building with my business partner on that side of things, Cody. He's a fucking awesome app developer. Very like-minded to me and Nick. But we came out with Street Performance, and I partnered with Perfect Hands Golf to be their head trainer, but then also wanted to find a way to get programs for Perfect Hands and golf to the communities out there, and that's all on Streak. And it's kind of like my baby. I make like 2 blog posts in there minimum a week where I'm talking about golf, and it's anything from mental mastery to exercises that you can do to like different bombs away principles that we put in there, and I write articles and I'll upload videos in there. New workouts come out every 4 weeks, and what's really exciting is The Bombs Away Advanced is coming out on March 29th or April 29th. Is it April?
Yeah, already, right?
Yeah, it's on April 29th. And then the really fun thing is I've started working with PGA pros, long drive professionals, and a large number of influencers where their specific programs are going to be going inside of this app to around golf. And then I'm going to let that kind of shape the way and the audience shape the way that all of the content goes and get them involved in the content for that app. So kind of like the pro experience, but for the golf side. And I wanted to make it as affordable as possible just to get it out there. So it's going to be just $10 a month, which is incredibly cheap, and it won't stay that cheap forever because I feel like I'm giving away way too much for way too little. But it's something where I want to build and be able to help as many people as possible. And then also get to work one-on-one with as many golfers as I possibly can. And I think that that'll help kind of show that. But that's at streetperformance.com, not on your laptop, on your phone. And it comes up as an app and something you can add to your home screen. And all the blogs are free right now. And then only you have to pay for the workout programs. Yeah.
And then you also have the option of going, if you really want something much more personalized to your experience and you want our expertise and involvement, then we have like online and one-on-one training options and like mindset, all of that fun stuff.
Yep. At
directly
Coach
with
Stu,
us.
at AK Fit Coach, hit us up on there. We'll let you know if we have spots. We are very significantly strict about the 30-person thing. So right now, I believe next Monday or one Sunday, I have 5 people fall off. Usually when I have 5 people fall off of it's like my transformation clients, so they'll fall off. And then I'll replace them. If they end up being replaced by golfers, it's going to be kind of hard to, because they stay with me a lot longer than 12 weeks. It's hard to know if we come in and open up more spots or not for that. But you can always DM us, or like sometimes we'll post on our stories when we have 5 spots open up, but it gets snatched up pretty good. Yeah. And all that's custom, so you're not getting like the things that you'd find on the websites.
Everything that we offer is amazing, but nothing tops being able to work with us and for us
If you're
to
in
get
Maryland,
to know you.
nothing tops being able to work with us in person.
Yeah, nothing ever beats in person. But honestly, I mean, like we're doing some pretty, I would say some mind-blowing online experiences.
I get my,
too.
yeah, no, I was a coach in person for 4 or 5 years at a gym. And the problem with in person, I will say, is that you just don't have enough time to commit to the person that you're training. So it's like you can talk about stuff, you can talk about nutrition, but I'm $90 an hour. You want to train me 3 days a week, that's over $1,000 a month, first of all. But also, in order for me to make ends meet, because I'm splitting that profit with the gym, in order to make a good living, you have to work 12-hour days, 5-6 days a week. And then that last day a week, you're so burnt out that you don't want to talk to your clients. So like, during the time that I'm with you, that's my only free time. So like my phone is literally in my pocket and I'm not talking to anybody. And you're paying a bunch of money, but it's just for 3 hours of me a week. Where online, you have access to me 24/7. If I'm not sleeping, I will message you back. Since sitting here, you guys see me look at my watch all the time. It's clients messaging. I'm making a mental note that like, all right, it's 10:30 at night, but I got to message all these people back so they wake up to a response in the morning. And that's the kind of thing that you get one-on-one here, but also you get nutrition and you get me looking at your nutrition and holding you accountable.
Yeah.
You get 5 workouts a week instead of 2 or 3, and it's like a fraction of the cost, because no matter how, I love the fact that I'm getting more clients, but I'm never going to be the guy who just starts upping my price because of that, because I want to work with as many people as possible. So it's like whatever an hour of my time cost before, that's what a week of my time costs online.
And honestly, one of our biggest motivators in creating these different platforms and options and opportunities is like, as you said, like our time can be limited when we're just in person, where we want to be able to share this, all of our knowledge, the wisdom, the resources, everything that we've spent years and years building and helping, I don't know, hundreds to now potentially even thousands of athletes and and individuals over the last 10 to 15 years, that we want to find ways to take all of this and be able to provide options for as many people as possible, so that you can have the resources based on, you know, where you want to start, what you want to experience, and how you want to grow, and how we can best help you with any of our different options.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's cool to have the options. I never will give up the in-person stuff, but it does take away from you being able to help as many people as possible when you do it just solely as your only way of training. And it shows in the results that you give people. Whereas, like, if I can touch every aspect of your day, then I can do a lot more for you. And if I can be available all the time, I can do a lot more for you. Because if I'm with clients 8 hours a day and you FaceTime me, guess what? I'm not picking that FaceTime up.
Yeah.
Because I'm with clients. If I'm making content and making programs online and just messaging people back and you FaceTime me, it's like, hell yeah, what's going on, man? Like, it's like that, and they're in the middle of a workout. That happens to me daily, and I love it. And it gives me a little sense of in-person stuff. But I love my weekly check-ins and talking through all the problems, and I love that, like, in-person aspect. And the beautiful thing is, with a lot of these people, now that I'm free, I travel to, like, work with some of these people on my company's dime, and I get to go out there, right? As long as they're cool with content being made around it. Now
you can help them and help as many other people as possible that can see that content. That you
exactly.
Too.
It's like help my client and then get it out to as many people as possible if the algorithm will actually show it to people. Yeah.
That's its own experience.
Yeah, whatever. And no, it's all good. But we are so lucky to be able to do what we do. Because it is our passion. And Nick's lucky to have been chasing this for a very long time. And I have been anything from, I've consistently been a trainer, but I've always had a safety job. But I'm 6 months into quitting that and just chasing a dream. And the amount of growth that's happened in those 6 months is really cool. In terms of how far it got and how fast it went and how quickly it's been picked up in certain circles. And I think it's because of the uniqueness of the way that we train.
Yeah.
And the way that we look at things, and that it's just different and safer and easier than a lot of other people. Yeah. Because I'm not going to BS you on anything. Training doesn't have to be hard. It has to be smart. It has to be efficient. Dieting doesn't have to be hard. Nothing works better than anything else on the diet. It's calories in, calories out, and what's sustainable for you and what you enjoy. And honestly, all can be boiled down to that. Oh shit, we forgot the last program. One that we were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah, hold on. Before we get to that, the last thing I wanted to say. Yeah, okay. The last thing I wanted to say real quick was there is no place that I'm aware of where you can get this type of in-depth information or wisdom around mindset, nutrition, training, recovery, healing, and skill execution enhancement through PAP for any of these prices, where you can pay any one professional for that price and you're not even getting as much out of.
Well, $30 is like 10 minutes of a professional's time.
Yeah, and honestly, like, for some of the professionals is ...
Yeah,
you could Google and get some better information.
No. There's good stuff out there and there's bad stuff out there, and you can literally Google anything this day and age and find something to support and not support it, which is what makes it's really frustrating, because that's what makes people not take action when it comes to fitness.
Yeah. When
they just need to know that everything works to an extent, and that's why you can find things that work and that don't, and the driver of the market is negativity.
Yeah.
Which is why it'll take us a little bit longer to blow up than others, because I truly believe that pretty much anything works, and there are things that you shouldn't do, but saying no to everything is not a sustainable way to live.
Or putting a positive spin on the ball, if you will.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's good. But we came out with a a workout program, and we're going to end on this. And we talked about it in the transformation video, but it literally, I did the math, and one day of this workout takes less than 20 minutes if you don't take any rest between the exercises. It's 12 movements. We do it every day. We create a streak around it. So less than 20 minutes a day. I guarantee you that if you do, I'm calling it the Streak Master Transformation, and I guarantee you that if you do this 20 minutes a day with no rest for 12 weeks in a row, and it's like working up from like base level, no fitness to like, and like easy ways to stack into like being pretty fit, your transformation, strength, overall health, and everything else will be so changed by the end of it, especially if you follow one of the diets. One of like the 7 diets that we'll give you, it's literally going to be mind-blowing and life-changing because the amount of volume will be more than most people that work out get, but for way less effort and work. I know Nick's going to try it. Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around if I can do this because it's like not working out for an entire hour because I'm a bit of a psycho. Rocky, pick a place. Good boy. All right. So that's going to wrap up the end of this podcast. So if you want to check any of that stuff out, drop something in the comments. Go to our Instagrams and send us a message. We're very responsive and all that stuff. Here's my phone number. I'm just kidding. And then, yeah, we'll do all of that.
If you're a client, you get that.
Yeah, so that's going to wrap it up. So if you're not interested in hearing about how the transformation challenge is going, then you guys can go ahead and sign off. But I wanted to kind of like talk about our progress really fast.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll keep this in this episode or like release it as like a little extra. But we are, is it Wednesday?
Yeah.
A little over a week in. Tell me about your experience so far. Because I've already had my little journey.
So far, what was I, like 185?
Can't remember.
I'm down to 178.6. And I didn't have any intention. I wasn't like no goal whether I was going to lose or not. My goal was to be at, I know.
He's no goals period for this.
I'm more of a little too, right now I'm in the stage of like doing different things, observing it, and then being able to add to it. Mm-hmm. But like I've been doing, finding different ways to get active and doing that every day, whether it's doing like the little beast band walks with Lexi. Today was such a beautiful day that I incorporated some, I was doing mulching and had to move like a lot of different rocks and stuff, so I would be like carrying rocks and I would do like overhead presses as I was walking and stuff. Getting real intentional with the reps as I had talked about. So my go-to right now is I am infinitely stronger now. And while every time I'm doing that, I am visualizing myself doing it as well. So not only physically doing, I'm also visualizing myself doing it. And then kind of flowing through that until I feel like now I'm starting to get to a point where I feel like I would want to quit. So I'm like, all right, if I am all right, let me finish this. Let me try to do one more cycle through. And I've really been enjoying that. And I like, another fun thing that I played around with was the rower in the basement. So I actually added a band around.
Shit looks like hell.
I had a band around me, so I'm like doing the banded press while rowing. And I was doing that, and I really enjoyed. I was doing intervals with that. I really enjoyed that, and definitely been enjoying. I've always been into spending time meditating and contemplating, but I've been really focusing on implementing that 3 times a day. The 2 biggest, right in the morning when I wake up and right before going to sleep, and getting intentional with like reading and meditating on what I read and see what kind of comes to me around that, and then sleeping on that, and then kind of picking that up in the morning with that morning meditation. And then I've been freaking loving it, to be honest.
Dude, it's sick having like extra structure. So everything that he's saying, like I go into with the mindset of streaks, like we talked about earlier, and like I always like pick way too many, and I keep adding more and more on top of it. I haven't been successful with all of them yet, right? So I've been successful with lunges and the band workouts. The band workouts like a really long streak, but I implemented lunges the first week and I stayed steadfast on that and I kept it going. I find a really good way to do these things is like I can get overwhelmed if I do all 6 at a time, but if I really add one in a week, then it's good. So I've stuck to lunges and I've stuck to the 3 simple steps, which is my meditation, writing out my intentions, and like being more positive on the course of the day. We had a little setback with the old social media thing yesterday, sort of, but it was also like we came out of that talk in a positive state anyway. So
those are just opportunities for us to find
to grow.
positivity.
Yeah. But like in terms of like what I've been doing, so we talked about the mac. I have a bunch of goals. So it's the macros over the course of a week. I went from 258 pounds to my lowest weigh-in so far is 241 pounds, 0.9, which is crazy low. But then Saturday and Sunday, I actually had a giant like uptick of anxiety, and I ended up overeating like crazy through that. And just to let you know, nobody's perfect.
I like to put this counter in there.
Or Friday and Saturday I did. So nobody's perfect, and it's maybe what my body or my mind needed at the time. But the beautiful thing is now I have no negative feelings around that overeating.
Huge.
And instead of me like putting that down, now, so I went over my calories for the week by 2,189. The overeating on Friday put me at 249 pounds, but I know it's all water. 249 pounds, and then the overeating on Saturday put me at 253 pounds, which is still a huge positive because you're only supposed to be losing a pound a week. So like I'm still technically 5 pounds down. And now I'm back to on Wednesday through sticking to, I've still gone over my calories a little bit, but I'm down to 245.8 pounds. And I know tomorrow I'll probably be 241 again. And then I'll probably have a new low weigh-in sometime this week before Sunday. And we got the anxiety thing figured out and everything like that. So like, I'm taking it as a huge win. And as long as in this week, I added the negative to like my total calories. So now it can be this week. And if I go over, I'll just do that again to the next week. Or maybe if I have like extra left over, I get a bonus calories the week after that. So I'm not even doing calories over the course of a week. I found that like, it's going to be the calories over the course of 12 weeks. Who knows? You know what I mean?
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be like a fun little experiment. But the whole like negative connotations around how you eat can completely derail somebody from getting results.
Yeah.
Because they mess up once and then you go, oh, I can't stick to it, so I might as well quit. And this is why I test these things out, because the fact that I didn't have any negative connotation about it, it's just like, oh, that's fine. I'm just rolling over calories anyway. So if I roll over calories, it's fine. As long as I can rein it in. And what, the eclipse day, like we fasted pretty much all day. I ate after sundown. So I only had like 1,120 calories. So I probably made up for that on that day where I fasted. And I didn't feel like eating that day. So like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm back on track after that. And all that's sick. And as long as I have a weigh-in, or my average weigh-in, because I'm going to go off of my averages. My average weigh-in last week was 247 pounds, pretty much. Point a bunch of numbers. But now, that's probably what my average is on my first 3 weigh-ins of this week anyway. So like if it goes lower than that, as long as my average just goes down and trends down over the course of the 12 weeks, then I've done what I want to do. And I know what my body does is it trends up sometimes for no reason at all. And I just have to stay the course. And by doing the average thing and all this other stuff, it's going to stop my mind from playing tricks on me constantly, because that's what a scale does a lot.
Yeah. There's something I definitely want to add to this. Like 2 things real quick. One is there's significant research that shows that there's more short-term harm done when you have a negative perception or emotional experience around food than that food itself.
Cortisol.
Yep. And so one of the biggest things that I share with all my athletes, but really anyone in general, is like it's one of the biggest things. Like, well, I like to eat this, but then I feel bad. I was like, first off, like you're feeling bad about having something that you enjoy eating, and then feeling bad about that, it's gonna do more harm mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I always say, like, you're either nourishing your body or nourishing your soul, right? Your soul food, the things that you enjoy. So, whenever you're looking at something, I always like to say, just look at it from those two perspectives. You're either nourishing your body, which is awesome, be grateful for that, or now you're enjoying something because it's something that you want, and you feel that you're going to enjoy. Be grateful to enjoy that, and obviously don't use that as an excuse to just eat all the crap you want. But the last thing too is, like they say, like nobody's perfect, and one of the big things I like to as a counterpoint is like, or is everything always perfect? You're always perfect as you are right now, knowing that you're always still working to become that better version of yourself. And it's just being able to find acceptance of who you are in whatever journey you're in that moment.
Yep. And like, it's never going to be perfect at the beginning of anything that you do. It takes a very special person to be able to do that. And I've been that person in the past. I'm not that person anymore. And it's okay. And over the course of this 12 weeks, I will get to the place where I work my way into that perfectness. But I will continue to make positive results even if everything doesn't align exactly like I planned. And just knowing that from years and years of experience is fantastic, because like, it used to be the end of the world when I first started bodybuilding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I went over 100 calories.
Oh my God, how am I gonna make up for this? I gotta do like so many
Doesn't
more
matter.
minutes, hours.
Gonna punish yourself with calories,
Yeah.
whatever else. Now I just do my lunges and my body kind of just like deals with calories how it deals with calories. Yeah, man. And like,
you get to learn more about yourself in the process too. That's one of the most ultimate experiences any person can have.
But also, I got down to 241 pounds, like that like real fast. It was like off of ramen, peanut butter and jellies, protein shakes, cereal with protein shakes dumped on top of it, like some chicken, like chicken pot pie, oatmeal, protein powder and oatmeal. Like, I ate over the course, and I still have most of the food, and turkey ham and sandwiches, and I ate for $85.
That's
balling on a budget diet, baby.
Balling on a budget.
So
baby.
like,
beast on a budget.
Yeah, dude. I it's been a really fun journey so far. So I've been doing those. So those are the 3 streaks that I did. It's the band workouts, the lunges, 3 simple steps. What I've started to work in this week is reading a chapter a day. It was something that I really wanted to do, just kind of like learn more. So that's happening this week. I definitely listened to a chapter a day last week, but I want to actually read a chapter a day, so I did not give myself the check marks.
I love the accountability, self-accountability.
I saw a post from Tiger saying that like when he's going into a tournament, he does 1,000 touches of the golf club a day. So 1,000 hits, whether it's putts, chips, or something else like that. I don't have fucking time for that, but like maybe I'll do 100 putts a day or something like that. Like, and I'm taking Rocky through some training stuff because he's already awesome off the leash, but like, I don't know.
It's so fun.
Sometimes you see a post or YouTube video and it's like, I want my dog to act like that. And Rocky's so smart that like he learned heel in one day today. So it's like, my boy's gonna be massively smart. So that's a new thing that I'm adding into the kind of like street column too. But like, you notice how a lot of these aren't fitness, right?
Yeah.
Diet and exercise are all fitness. That's it.
It's more like lifestyle and your personal.
Everything else is like I'm using it as a vessel to grow, and that's
Yeah.
that's what this is going to be. And then also like by the time I'm chilling at the pool this summer, I'm just gonna be
You and Rocky.
shredded. Like that's like I like transformations. It's so much fun to do transformations, and you learn a lot about yourself in the process, and you can learn a lot about different like aspects of dieting in the process. That's what we're using it for. But there's a little check-in for that too. So we appreciate everybody who listens.
We're grateful for all the support always.
Yeah. But LFG, and as always,
LFG, let's go and let's grow.
We'll see you in the next one, you beasts.